Well, hello, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is entitled The Eumenides. For some of you, that may not necessarily, create a moment of recognition. Um, we to be candid with you, one of the reasons why I wrote the blog this week, we had two good victories for our clients. The law offices of Lieberman and Taormina has killed off two cases. So we got our victories, yay team. But that got me thinking about the American judicial system, which I often write about. But more specifically, I want to talk about it from the standpoint of art. There have been a ton of legal dramas, law novels, movies about court cases and things like that. And, I have always, up until relatively recently, had a belief system that art had the capacity to transform society. I've actually changed my position fairly dramatically on that. I don't know that it necessarily can transform society. It may simply create impetus or potentially create guardrails for society. But that I've explored in separate blogs. In this one, I want to go back to the very beginning. So I referenced the fact that the novel, the legal novel, I guess, that was so inspirational to me was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Atticus Finch became a fictional hero of mine. The idea of the one individual standing up to the power, not just of the state, but of society to protect an innocent man. That sort of resonated with the combatant in me. It's also instructive that Atticus Finch lost his case. But before we had Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, the very first legal novel, and actually it wasn't even a novel, it was a play, was called The Eumenides. And this particular play, and I go into it in much more detail in the blog, but this play was from ancient Greece, and it involved a trial. In fact, it involved a trial that was presided over by Athena herself. And the defense attorney was none other than Apollo. And what's interesting is that in the trial, the defendant actually ended up having a split decision. 6 of the Athenian jurors agreed with the state that he should be put to death, and the other 6 agreed with Apollo that he should be spared. It was Athena that stepped in to cast the tie-breaking vote, and she voted for the defendant's life to be spared. And in fact, that starts a historical precedent where Athena is always seen to be balancing the scales on the side of the defendant. Anyways, it's an interesting, muse. Anyway, I hope you do read the blog. I hope you enjoy the blog. And as always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.